Hey guys, now that you've got your Goxlrs magically in the mail for me, I thought I would give you just a quick start guide to get you through the install and the basics of the program. Pretty typical hardware, software install stuff. What you're gonna do is I'm going to email you the application in its current form, and from there you'll plug in the hardware and stuff. So let's start with the app. We're gonna double click it. You know, if you've never double clicked anything, I may give you one of these unknown publisher things because we haven't got it signed with Microsoft. Just give it a yes and it will rock on. Pick your directory, doesn't matter where. And sure, I'll make a desktop shortcut. Let it install, and you're going to have to restart your computer. It's installing a bunch of audio drivers as well because of the multi-channel USB audio that it's running. So just give it a few minutes and just go through all of the prompts until you're done. Okay, so hit next, hit finish, and so this won't happen later on, but we'll say no, we want to connect the device later. Oh, sorry, okay, disconnect and reconnect device. Yes, there we go. Okay, we don't want to launch the app yet. We finish. All right, so now let's set up some hardware. Pretty basic here. Your XLR mic goes here. Headphones connect here. If you have any line input devices or anything, they can go in here. You got your USB and your power. If you're running console, you can also use the optical in here. So I'm gonna get her going. One of the cool things is this little channel underneath. It allows your headphone cable to go under the product and back out the front, if I can actually not drop it 5 times. So it tucks in underneath here, and then now I've got my headphones coming out the front, which is pretty cool. And then it should have given me a shortcut, which looks like this guy here. Double click that and it will fire up the program. There you go. So very first thing you see, very similar to lots of programs for like Skype and that kind of stuff, is you're just going to want to set your mic settings. So I'm going to bring in, I've got an SM7B, so it's dynamic. If you have a condenser mic, you can click here and then just choose a condenser and that'll turn phantom power on for you. Going to talk into my mic. Check 1, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. That seems about right. It'll tell you if you've clipped, but you can just back off, set it so that it's not clipping, but you want as much gain as you can get. Hit OK, and then you're ready to rock. You're inside the program. It's going to come with a default profile. So it'll say, I'm just going to call it default. Save it here. So when you're on the default profile, the way that this whole thing works, I'll just maximize it. Your profiles are over here. You can create a new profile for different games, you know, podcast you're gonna do or anything like that. Basically just different setups that you have, and that carries all the information for all the colors, what's on the scribble strips, the samples that are assigned, the vocal effects, any of that kind of junk. You've got a sample folder here, so you can import samples and then all the samples will be listed in here. We're still working on a folder structure for this, so by the time this goes live, there'll be some folders that people can use. But that's your 2 main navigations up here. Down below are all the controls that relate to the profile. So you've got your mic. You can again change dynamic and condenser if you want here. And then all of these controls down here are sort of in a basic mode if you don't click the little expansion, or they pop out into an advanced mode. So you can see the EQ starts out as just bass and treble, adjust it as you want, or you can go in and do a full parametric EQ on it. Same with the compressor. You can make it just a basic amount that you slide up and down, or you can pop it open and you can get ratios and attack and release and all that, and same goes for the gate. In the mixer section, you've got the levels of everything. Okay, and this is where you assign what goes on the faders for the actual product itself. So you'll see channel 1 here, you decide what you want it to be. Do you want it your mic, your chat, your music, your game, your console, your line in, your samples, or your headphone level? So you can assign anything you want, and you just click through the channels and assign things to those channels as you want. So once you've set up your faders, you'll notice that there's some options for mute as well. Now it defaults to all, which is it just mutes everything to everywhere. So if you have it on your mic and you hit mute, it's going to mute your mic to everywhere. But we have some cool options for things that we kind of consider cool for when you're chatting with people over Discord, and you may or may not want the audio that you're muting to mute to everywhere, you might actually want to privately say something to your stream, or at least not pollute your friend's stream with your own promos and things like that. Or you might want to talk privately with somebody over Discord and not have your stream hear it. So if you pick stream only, it's only going to mute to your stream. So you hit the mute, your stream no longer hears what you're saying, but anybody that you're on Discord with can still hear you chatting. If you do chat only, it's going to mute what's going to Discord, so you could say do a promo with your audience and then unmute it and it goes back to the Discord, and then your friend would be able to hear it again. So it kind of helps prevent that crosstalk, or allows you some privacy depending on what you're going to do. You can also mute it so that you hear only in your headphones. So if you wanted to maybe create a sample and then you wanted to try that sample out and see whether or not that sample was working for you, you could kind of do it with it muted and only in your headphones. And then once it's correct, then you can go back. You've got your effects set up in here. So when you hit effects, this is all of the effects that are up top, the presets that you've got. So you've got presets 1 to 6 down here, which are represented by the 6 buttons on the product up top here. So these 6 preset buttons are these 6 down here. And then you can basically just choose the style and the level for stuff like reverb, echo, pitch, gender, megaphone, robot, and hard tune. That's all of your effects. But just like all of the other effects, if there is a more advanced option, you can just click the little push out here, and now all of a sudden you can see all the stuff you can control. High factor, mod speed, mod depth. There's crazy amounts of stuff in here that you can use. Echo has all these things. So often you pick a style first, and you'll see how like the stuff changes when you pick a style, and then you can go and mess with it yourself, and then you can recollapse these back down. So remember that you got 6 of these per profile that you can set up. The sampler, pretty cool. You've got your A, B, and C banks, and all of them have 4 samples associated to them. You can take any kind of file, like a MP3, wave, that kind of stuff, and you basically just drag and drop it onto the waveform area right here, and it'll add the file. It'll do a little analysis on it. So let me just see if I can find you a thing here. I'll go into my... see if I can find a sample. There we go. So I got all these samples here. What I would do is just literally take it, I'm just gonna move this over, and I'm just gonna drag it, and I'm gonna drop it right down onto the button. So you can see that I'm at bank A, top left, and I'm gonna drag it in. It analyzes the track, and there it is. And now I can just play it, and it's on the top left button, which is this button up here. And so I can just drag them on. You can actually create stacks of samples as well. So if I wanted to grab another sample and drag it in here, it's gonna analyze it, and then it's gonna push it into a stack here. So now you've actually got more than one sample on the same button, and then you can choose the function of how that works. So you can say, do we want them to play sequentially? So it's always gonna go, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, or are you gonna randomize them? So for a bunch of taunts or something, you might just wanna randomly do them. You can also choose what you want it to do. So when you play the first one, you hit the button again, it's gonna play the next one, or it can play stop, it can play in fade, it can fade on release. So like if you had, say, like an applause, you might wanna hold it down, and then when you let go of the applause, it fades away. So just muck around with all that stuff. Obviously, we're part of the sort of beta testing stage for you guys here, so make sure that everything works. We've all gone through it as well, but I really wanna get your feedback on how that stuff happens. When we go down to routing, this is the what goes where stuff. Super straightforward. What goes to your stream? If it has a tick mark, it goes to your stream. So for example, if you didn't want the console to go to your stream, or you didn't want the line in, or you didn't want the chat to go to your stream, just untick them. And then you can pick what goes where for everything, which is really, really straightforward. So what I generally do is I have my headphones and my stream the same, but some people don't like to listen to their mic in their headphones. So you can just not have your mic in your headphones if you want. Anything you want, just click those buttons and you're done. Now let's go back to the mixer for a sec here, because you'll notice that here there's a settings tab and a lighting tab. All of your chroma stuff and everything to do with what goes on the faders themselves is under lighting. So when you click lighting, we'd go to channel 1, and you can see here's a preview of what's going on. I say, you know what, I don't want the number to be listed there. I want the color to be a different color, so we'll make it, I don't know, purple. I want a different icon, so I can click on the icon here, and it actually pops up a window. If I wanted to add a new icon, I can just drag and drop it to here, and it allows you to crop and do stuff like that. So we've got like Bike Man's logo there. It comes in after I've clicked it, and then I can do the alpha here to try and make it look cooler, so you can kind of go through the alpha and then you look at how it represents itself on the screen. And messing with the alpha will give you kind of a better or worse representation of that particular sample. And you can see there. You can also click whether or not there's text or anything on there. So there's a list of text. I could turn it off if I want. If I want just the logo, you'll see that the logo got bigger. I can actually add text as well. So I'm gonna tick the text box, and then I'm gonna add new text, and I'm gonna call it Bike Man. Click OK. Now he's in the list, and you'll see on the preview here that it says Bike Man, and then on the screen itself is Bike Man. We'll change the color so it's a little more obvious there. So that's how you set up what the screen actually looks like. For the faders, right next to it, there's a bottom color and a top color. So basically, bottom color is what fills up underneath when you move the fader. Top color is what's above it. I often do no color on the top, but you can easily pick a color that you want. If you say I picked red above the blue, and I can go apply to all. And now if you look over at the product, they're all red. I could say all none, all blue. I can change things around like that. The way that it works for the bottom and top is you can't choose the same color. So if I choose yellow as my top color, you'll notice that it switches in another color for my bottom, because you can't obviously have the same color go all the way up and down the faders. Same thing goes for mutes. The mute buttons, you can choose to have a color for when it's on and another color for when it's dimmed. So you can do like a color 2, and you could say, when it's off, it's orange, and when it's on, it's red. I tend to pick dimmed because it's really easy and obvious at that point what's going on. So I got a dim red and then a bright red when it's muted. Same thing goes for the effects and the sampler. So when you click on effects, if you go into lighting, you now have control of all the colors of the preset buttons. You've got the encoder, so it's got left color, which is obviously to the left of wherever you're going, which would be like filling up as you turn the knob. So I can do my left color. In this case, say I make it red. Now you'll see that as I fill the knob up, it fills up red, and my right color, which is to the right of the location of the knob, is still blue there. And I could make it nothing if I wanted to. I could go, I don't want anything there. I just want it to be red. And then so you can like that for all of them. For the effects, you can change the color of the effects buttons as well. I'll change all of them, say, to red there. And so now you can see that all my Megaphone Robot Hardtune, I can make them all different colors if I want to. I could go in here and just click Hardtune and go purple and whatever I want to do. This is how you can create all of those. Sampler, same thing. So you can go into lighting again. You can choose your bank colors, and you can choose your button colors as well. So it gives you an option to show you if you say have a dimmed version. So dimmed would be that there's a sample there, but there's the location isn't playing, or you could do a different color. When there's no color in the sampler, that means that there's no sample associated with it. In order to record your own sample, literally just hold the button and do what you're going to do. So we'll go back to the settings here, and I'll show you. I'm just going to sneak my mic in, sorry. So we'll go to, say, top right button has no sample associated with it, and I'll just literally make a sample, make a sample, make a sample, let the button go, and now you can see that I've got a sample in here that was me saying make a sample, make a sample. All of these are normalized as well relative to each other, so any sample that you import will be normalized so that they're relative to all the other ones. So if you get them from all sorts of places around the internet, you don't have to worry about going in and dicking around with them. That'll just make them all the same level for you. That's pretty much it. In system, you can do firmware updates, and if you click the setup wizard here, it'll just give you your mic setup again. You can do that again from there if you want to. Now let's go into the kind of how to integrate it into your computer setup, because there's a couple of things you're going to want to do. So in your main Windows audio, in your playback devices, you're going to want to choose, you're going to actually get a digital audio device here that, see, you've got all these chat, game, music, sample, system. You're going to want to choose system as your default audio device for, as Goxlr, keeping in mind that this product completely replaces everything that you guys have. So on the front end of the mic, there's a limiter. You've got all the compression, the gating, the EQ, all that kind of stuff is all built right in. So you don't need any other external audio devices. This thing is literally USB and your XLR mic and your headphones, and you're ready to rock. So make sure you've got everything else unplugged. You can see how these all manifest as audio devices. So if your game allows you to pick an audio device, pick Goxlr Game, and then in your profile on the mixer, you would choose, say, we'll say channel 2. We're going to put game. We're going to put a game on the mixer here. So we go game, and now the level of the game is going to be assigned to here, and I'd go into the lighting and I'd choose this to not, obviously not say music, but I might take the text off. I might choose an icon from a game I know, World of Tanks, there we go. And so now I know that my second channel is World of Tanks and my first channel is my own mic, and we might take off the text there to make it kind of bigger or whatever. So that allows you to have a sense of how you can set them up to be whatever you want in whatever order. Couple other little tweaks for you is that there is a way with Spotify, if you're using that to play music, that you can actually assign an audio device to Spotify. It doesn't normally have that setting in there, but there's a little flag you can set. So for me with Spotify, you can't put an argument into an actual exe file. You can do that on a shortcut. So what I've done is created a shortcut for Spotify, and then you can see here at the end of this shortcut on the target, I've gone hyphen enable audio graph, okay? And I've made that a shortcut, and then I chucked it into my Windows startup file, so that's just so that Spotify will start up for me automatically every time I start the program. But if it were a shortcut on your desktop, same thing. As long as you've adjusted that target, it's gonna work perfectly. And then what I do is I go into Spotify, let it fire up, and then in the edit menu, go down to preferences, and you'll notice that at the very bottom here, there's show advanced settings, and that normally doesn't exist unless you've put that argument into Spotify. You guys may already know all this anyway, but here you go. Now I can actually choose my default playback device, and you'll see in here I have music, Goxlr music. Boom, click it. Now when I choose music in the app here, when I go over to say channel 3 and I decide I want to assign music to it, I'll go channel 3, I'll assign music, great. I want it to mute everywhere if I mute my music. Go into the lighting, same thing. I'm not going to take a number. I'm going to call it music, and I'm going to pick my icon. I think I got Spotify there. There we go. I'm not even going to put the text there. So now you can see back on the product, I've got, it's me, it's Bike Man. I'm playing World of Tanks, and I'm using Spotify for my music. Lastly, we'll set up your chat. So let's do something like, say you're gonna chat on Discord. So you pick a Discord app from the one there, and then we'll go in, we won't put any text on it either. And there you go. So now you've got you, the game, your music, and your Discord. And when you go into Discord itself, we'll fire that up. It's very similar to any other audio setup that you've ever done. We'll go in and we'll just pick Goxlr chat as both the mic and the output, okay? So it's just gonna do its little update thing here. Okay, so we'll go into the user settings here. Oops, where is it? Voice and video. So what I'm gonna choose here is I'm going to choose chat mic, Goxlr. Output device is going to be chat, where is it? Chat, Goxlr. Boom. So now what that's done when I get out of here is it's put Discord onto the chat so that now Discord is available on my fader, which makes it super easy. And again, that's where you're gonna choose the mute mode and all that kind of stuff. What else can I show you? I think that's kind of it for now. What else do you need to know? If you're doing a console game, plug in your optical and you would choose console as one of your faders here, and then you could still send it out to your stream when you're playing your console. Again, any program that you can choose, like in the game, or you can choose the audio device, that's gonna be where you choose it. The reason we selected your default audio device to be system is that it kind of becomes the catch-all, right? So a game that doesn't have the ability to assign an audio device is just gonna come up through system. You probably wanna create a new profile for that game and then use system as your game audio instead, and then you'll be able to have that on a fader. So the very last piece of the puzzle is obviously picking your audio device inside your broadcast software, if it's OBS or XSplit. I've got XSplit here, so I'm just gonna go scroll down on my microphone. I'm gonna scroll down to find Broadcast Stream Mix. And this is a maximized version of the stream. We use broadcast algorithms on there to make sure that it's got the best level. So you're gonna wanna turn your mic level all the way up to 100%. So we're gonna click apply here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then I have my mic turned up all the way, and that's gonna maximize the stream audio output so that you get the most amount of audio that you can into it without any kind of clipping, and it works perfectly. If you're already using a camera and your audio, you're gonna maybe have to readjust your audio delay in order to sync up with your camera, depending on just when you add the new system. It's gonna have slightly different latency than whatever system you're already running, so you might want to tweak with that a bit just to make sure that you're perfectly lockstep with the video. That's about it.